Hey, Shalom. Shalom, Shalom. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Wakak, Wadash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Back at it again, back at it again. Hey, real quick, man, just going into, because we're coming to a time where the Most High is judging the earth, and we're seeing the different things play out, the insurrection. You know, you got all these protests, all these uprising in these other countries. You know, because the beast Esau has had his way with the governments of these other countries. You know, they were able to use their resources to implement, their own policies to into these other nations, which don't work. You know what I'm saying? Because the other nations, they're not dealing with slaves. They're not dealing with they deal with a lower class, but they don't deal with things how Esau deals with people here in the good old U.S. of A. All right, and one of the things that we understand is that the judgment that Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai is putting out is necessary. It's necessary because, for the Lord to just watch things go the way that they're going and let the vibration of Satan just completely rule over the earth with no opposition, no events. Basically, man, the Lord he's not letting Satan rule in peace. There's no peace. There's no peace in Israel right now. There's no peace. There's no peace in Palestine. There's no peace in the surrounding regions of the Middle East when they're trying to use as little proxies to get to Iran and to get to those parts of the Middle East where they want to try to make a stronghold for Israel. There's no peace there. All right, there's no peace. And one of the things that, because his name was Solomon. Solomon means what? Peace. My brothers say the so-called Jews, they say what? Shalom. We say what? Shalom. It's peace. You say my peace is good. Shalom ya tawab. My peace is good. So, the thing about it, man, the judgment that we can see is that peace is not being granted in the earth because the people who are in rulership are wicked. And that's plain to see. Brothers have a whole bunch of videos on that. But today, though, I just wanted to touch on a simple topic of judge. Because we are called to be judges, and one thing about a judge is you have to be able to evaluate. You have to have a lot of wisdom when you're dealing with people. You have to have a certain level of judiciousness because you're dealing with. You might be dealing with, you got different types of people, You're out about in your day, and, you come across people, you try to maybe eye them up, maybe try to, in your mind, you're thinking like, okay, what kind of person is this? And maybe you can kind of judge them based on what they got on, how they look. But then in some cases, that's not necessarily the case. So, a judge is somebody who's set up to be, first off, you have to know the law. Let me make sure I say that. But us as the men of the Lord, we're set up to be judges. We're set up to be preachers, prophets. Okay, we're set up to be all of those things, and the scriptures tell you about that. Teachers. Okay, we got the apostles who are set up to guard the flock and basically rule over us as men of the Lord should. All right. And here's the Hebrew word for judges. You got two words for judges. You got dayan. Dayan, the judge, to plead the cause, to contend, execute, plead, strife. Right, to judge, to act as a judge. All right. Then you got, because people will say what? But we already know. You can't judge. No, you can't judge that. No, you can't judge this. But the hot topic that just came up was that that embarrassment of a trial with Judge Mammy Tammy Kemp, where she's talking about, she's hugging, this damn Edomite, this cold-blooded killer. And, one of the things the scriptures talk about is what? That the flock of the Lord, the shepherds for the flock, have basically let the sheep go astray. All right, and you look at leadership, especially with the Southern Kingdom, man. You look at the leadership of the Southern Kingdom. It's a fucking black church in every black neighborhood. It's all kind of things set up through the government. They've the Congressional Black Caucus and 100 Black Men. All these organizations set up who pretend like they're guardians of the people, but there's no declared law. There's no declared. They might have some little generalized mission statement, but there's no focused mission statement on anything. So none of those organizations, when it's time to actually do shit, when it's time to actually commit to something, what do the scriptures say? Can two walk together, at least you be agreed? People don't even know what direction to go sometimes for them to be able to gain some type of prosperity, to gain something else, to gain some type of either reparations for the situation. And that's the big thing that's coming up now. That spirit is coming up. Israel, not just the Southern Kingdom, but the Northern Kingdom too. They got all these organizations set up to represent them and, guard the people, and everybody, basically says the same buzzwords when they're in office. The people want to do this for the people and want to drain the swamp, give power back to the people, blah, blah, blah. Hey, the best thing that you can do for the people as a leader is, number one, for you to give them the law, statute, commandments of the Father. You know what I'm saying? Give them the words, which is what we're doing. And for you to, for you to pray for your people, because ultimately we're doing what we're doing for our people who, many of them won't be saved in this lifetime, but in the next they'll be redeemed. And then also being the example for them. And there's a shortage of that amongst Israel. There's a huge shortage of that. All right, because being an example, which is what brothers are doing, nationwide with Greg Millstone, being the example, that doesn't gain you a lot of clout in this society. I was just reading an article in the newspaper. They talking about big brothers, big sisters is looking for black male role models or whatever. And I just looked at the shit, and you already know what the situation is. You got a lot of silly ass Negro women, probably some not so much Latino either, because they for the most part they stay in a family unit when they come here, because a lot of the times they're on the hunt, dealing with the federal government. But yeah, you already know it's the damn single black woman, the most dysfunctional creature on this planet, and they bring their kids there, those Edomites, and then they expect some random some random black man to show up and just be fucking Superman to your children, when they already have a father. So, hey, judgment has to go out over the earth, man. Judgment has to go out, number one, man, through Israel first and foremost, because the Lord said what? I will. Matter of fact, let's get that. I will judge my house Israel first. Let me find that. Here it is, 1 Peter 4:17. For the time has come that judgment must begin at the house of the Most High. And if it first begin at us, what shall the end be of them that obey not the gospel of the Most High? Right. So, and that's exactly what's going on. And judgment is going to start with, the people who know that they're Israel. Even amongst Israel, the people who know that they're Israel. And what does it say? If it first begin at us, what shall the end be of them that obey not the gospel of the Most High? What is the judgment going to be for the non-believers of Israel? Well, they're going to be destroyed. All right? Because ultimately, the Lord didn't give you that faith. And then ultimately, a lot of people, the Lord did give the faith, but they threw it on the ground. They rejected the ultimate gift of that the Most High delivered, them out of the grasp of their enemies. Is in a spiritual sense. That's what it means to be part of what it means to be born again. And that's what's going on with our people. They're in the constraint of Esau. They're under his vibration of you know what I'm gonna say, his buzzwords. Black, spick, Hispanic, Latino, all these different things that are being twisted and bent and used for political gains and shit and all of that. All right, and so judgment is going to begin at the house of the Most High, which Israel is his house. Israel. All right, now here's another way of saying judge. Shabbat. A Shabbat. To judge, govern, vindicate, punish, to act as a lawgiver or a judge. So you had men in the past who were set up as judges. All right, and we're set up as judges now. The Lord said he was going to do it. He was going to set us up as judges. All right, because going back to the time of Judges, matter of fact, because it's a book of Judges, and the Lord, it's going to list out the I believe it's 12 judges. Let me see. Got it written down right here. Yeah, there were actual judges set up when we went into the land of Israel, and it's going to talk about that after Joshua died, because Joshua was high priest. He was a high priest over Israel, right? Othniel, Ahud, Shamgar, Deborah, and Barak, Gideon, Abimelech, Tola, Jair, Jephthah, Ibzan, Elan, Abdon, Samson, and of course, Samson being the most famous of that bunch. All right, and it's gonna. Well, let's read it. Judges 2:7. It said, "The people served the Lord all the days of Joshua, and all the days of the elders that outlived Joshua, who had seen all the great works of the Lord that he did for Israel. And Joshua the son of Nun, the servant of the Lord, died being 110 years old. And they buried him in the border of his inheritance in Timnath-Heres in the mount of Ephraim on the north side of the hill Gaash. And also all that generation were gathered unto their fathers, and there arose another generation after them, which knew not the Most High, nor yet the works which he had done for Israel. And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord and served Baalim." And we go again. "And they forsook the Most High, God of their fathers, which brought them out of the land of Egypt, and followed other gods, and of the gods of the people they were round about them, and bowed themselves unto them, and provoked the Lord to anger." And that's exactly what's going on now, man. The Most High is furious. He's furious, and we can see why, because our people are into everything under the sun, and it's all under the vibration of this so-called white man. He puts all the information out. He controls the media. He controls what you see, what you hear. And our people, a lot of them, they just have a complete self-pity mind, because the images that are being shown of us are all negative. It's all niggerish, and that's exactly why we're in the state that we're in. All right, in Israel, the Israelites, we don't have that fucking weak ass self-pity, and you see your brother being successful. You see your brother, the Lord dealing with your brothers. You see, a certain level of success, and you want to try to, bring that down or something. That's not the spirit of the Lord. That's not the spirit of the Lord. All right, we're not Israel. We're not crabs in the bucket. Now, when we see certain men go off in the doctrines, then we talk about it. We have to rebuke it, because you're teaching people something that's not necessarily correct. But it's not a camp banging thing, or where like a gang or something. That's not what this is. Okay, and I'm gonna jump up to verse 16. It said, "Nevertheless, the Most High raised up judges, which delivered them out of the hand of those that spoiled them, And yet they would not hearken unto their judges, but they went a-whoring after other gods, and bowed themselves unto them. They turned quickly out of the way which their fathers walked in, obeying the commandments of the Lord, but they did not so. And when the Lord raised up judges, then the Lord was with the judge, and delivered them out of the hand of their enemies all the days of the judge. For it repented the Most High because of their groanings by reason of them that oppressed them and vexed them. And it came to pass, when the judge was dead, that they returned and corrupted themselves more than their fathers in following other gods to serve them and to bow down unto them. They cease not from their own doings, nor from their stubborn way. And you know, a thing you observe with the scriptures, you tend to see this cadence a lot, which reaffirms the wickedness that Israel's doing. And when you go into all these other countries all over the world, you're going to see that. When you go back into their history, you're going to see that. Idols, 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 statues, little statues, and it's all the same shape. It's all basically the same demons that jump on different nations of people, and then they call that demon, something different. Just like with the Roman gods, you got Zeus. Greeks, the same figure is Jupiter, and then that same figure we know is Serapis Christus. Okay, then that same figure we know is Cesare Borgia. I mean Salakia, not Cesare Borgia, Serapis Christus. And then the Babylonians, they have their version. The Syrians have their version. It's the same. It's the exact same shit over and over. And the Lord has blessed us to see through that. All right, and it said what? And the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel, and he said, because that this people have transgressed my covenant, which I commanded their fathers, and have not hearkened unto my voice, I also will not henceforth drive out any from before them of the nations which Joshua left when he died, that through them I may prove Israel whether they will keep the way of the Lord to walk therein as their fathers did keep it or not. Therefore the Lord left those nations without driving them out hastily, neither delivered he them into the hand of Joshua. Exactly. So the Lord used those other nations, and in this case, it was the Philistines, the Jebusites, different nations of Ham, different nations of Canaan, and who the Lord used to prove Israel. Just like in boxing, you got the guy, and he says he's the champ, but he keeps fighting a bunch of bums. He won't stick to, he won't stick to he won't stick to his training. He won't do any of that. He's always fighting a tune-up fight. He's never trying to fight up against somebody who, it's just he has to prove himself. Well, that's the same with us, man. You have to be proven, right? Become a champion. You have to be proven, and it's a process to go through with that. And let's see, because the scriptures say what? If you judge your brother, you got to cast that beam forth from your eye. No matter how much he pisses you off, or no matter how you might think that he did some petty ass shit. Like, man, why the fuck did he do that? But still, you have to cast that beam from your eye, and you have to deal with that brother, with love. But at the same time, hey, when that judgment comes out, shit, that brother, he just has to deal with it. When that correct judgment comes out, that brother has to deal with it. It might be a soft judgment, it might be a curse out. It says, it's 1 Corinthians 2:14, it said, but the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of the Most High, for they are foolishness unto him, neither can he know them, because they are spiritually discerned. But he that is spiritual judges all things, yet he himself is judged of no man. Exactly. And all these pieces of wisdom in the Bible, this is men who are judging certain matters. They're judging the times. They're judging where they're at. They're judging the days, right? The cycles of the moon, to see what month it is, what high holy day it is. You know, when should I fast? When should I give up more prayer? When should I, give, more offerings unto the Lord? So all these different things are through judgment of men, the spiritual man. All right, and the spiritual man, he's using the things that the Most High of the Bible has set up for him. It said, "But who hath known the mind of the Lord that he may instruct him? But we have the mind of Yahweh Shai." Exactly, we have the mind of the Messiah. We strive to have that mind. We see his actions, we hear his words, we hear the words of the men who follow him. We hear the words of the men who received the same spirit as him, who were born under the Holy Spirit. All right, so hey, that's just a quick one on judgment and judges, because that's an important title. That's a very important title. And like I said before, we see with the whole Botham Jean trial, and all these other trials too. That's just one trial that was nationally televised, but with all these other weirdo trials too, we see what happens when judgment goes left. All right, you see the prison system full of Israelites, full. Esau is doing the most fucking crime, and we're the most in the prison. When we go, we already know the sentence is gonna be that much more, because this man shows favors to his own. This is I'm gonna end it on this. Sirach 10:1. A wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. And that's how Israel is supposed to be, as a government, because that's ultimately what we're building, the government of Israel. And as wise judges, we're supposed to instruct our people and give them the truth. It said, "As the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. And what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein." Exactly. And you go to these different places all over the U.S., and that's exactly what happens. Whatever style the governor is, the mayor is, that's kind of the style. It's a different style in Texas versus California versus New York versus Chicago. These are all different styles of leadership, but you can see the different types of Edomites. But when the time comes, they're all under the order of Edomite supremacy. They're all under the same order, under that same government. All right, and that's just like us. We're under the same government of pushing forth Israel. So hey, call Allah Yahweh Yahweh Shai. Lord willing is edifying for you. Shalom.